You have to get down. Hi, welcome to another edition of Puddle Glum's Music Collection. Today I'm going to talk about a couple Steven Wilson remixes. We're going to talk about Chicago 2, which is the Chicago after the Chicago Transit Authority album. And then we're going to talk about Yes Relayer, two Steven Wilson remixes, how I think they were came out remixed. And Guster's going to go down here. Want to get down now? Yeah, okay. Say hi to everybody. All right, we're going down, buddy. All right, Guster. Alrighty, and so today I got some Verner's Ginger Ale. This is the, if I'm from Michigan, if you're a Michigander or a Michiganian, I call them Michiganders. That's what I am. Verner's is the drink that you have to drink. Probably the first pop or soda, whatever you call it, ever made. A pharmaceutical company in Detroit, way back, created it. It's been sold by a number of companies now, but I haven't been able to find it in the Jewel lately around here because of COVID, so a lot of stuff is missing, so I'd ordered this on the internet, which is fine because it's in a glass bottle and it's sugar instead of corn syrup, so it tastes great. Alrighty, let's get into it. So I got the Chicago remix, Chicago 2. What's great about these is these all came with posters and stuff like they did in the old days. It was nice back then. You bought a record. Sometimes you got postcards. Sometimes you got posters. Sometimes you got other stuff. But yeah, you got the poster with it, just like the old days. If you get the CD opens up into a poster, a little one. But they give you the big one here. So there they all are. Let's see here. Where's Kath? Terry Kath is there on the bottom. I listened to Chicago until Kath died. Actually, the album before Kath died I didn't really like that much, but Kath, the guitar player, died. You know, all those cheesy Chicago songs that everybody thinks are Chicago. Yeah, that's when that all came in. But before that, Chicago were a great band. Lots of horns, lots of guitar work, they're more democratic as a band. But anyway, I did like the remix of this. Here you go, Chicago 2. The remix, I felt like a lot of people with the Steven Wilson remixes, they don't like the drums, what he does with the drums. I usually love what he does with the drums. They're a lot more separated. They sound more clear. Actually, this whole album to me is a little less chaotic sounding. Not that it was, but it's more separated. You can hear everything better. It's a nice volume. What I like about the Steven Wilson remixes is that the volume is very low, so you can really crank it up on your stereo. Because I hate it when they redo albums and it's so hot that, you know, I don't like that. But anyway, I thought the horns were much more punchy. And I thought they were much brighter, and I thought that was good. Overall, I thought it was less cluttered and a little more crisper. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole thing. If you want to give it a listen to, I think it's on Spotify. I don't usually get the same effect I do with vinyl when I'm streaming or things like that. The only time I stream really is if I'm in the car and I have no other way to listen to music, or if I want to listen to something as far as the songs go and I want to buy it later. You know, you try to support the artist. I mean, some of the older artists, the money goes back to, you know, whatever company in the beginning ripped them off anyway. But anyway, I try to support the artist. But this is really good, and I think you should get it. The next one is Yes Relayer. This is with Patrick Moraz on the keyboards. I think he came from, at this point, I think he came from Moody Blues over to here. Rick Wakeman had left and they needed a keyboardist. I always wondered what Going for the One would have sounded like that came after this, if Moraz was still in the band. You know, because he brought more of like a jazzy fusion feel to it. Back then, fusion was big with the Mahavishnu Orchestra and John McLaughlin and Al Di Meola, and all these people were, Stanley Clarke, all these people were doing all this jazz fusion stuff, Jeff Beck. And I think this really comes across in Yes Relayer. I think this is their most almost fusion prog here. And I think Patrick had a lot to do with that. And I'm wondering what Going for the One would have sounded like. But this has always been a love-hate relationship as far as like, this is one of my favorite Yes albums, but I always felt it was a little chaotic. It does have an edge to it, you know, when you listen to the original. Some other person said metallic, which I think is a good adjective. It just has this sharp edge to a lot of it. Steve Howe's guitar and a lot of things, and it did always seem a little chaotic to me. He did take a little of the edge off this. Also in the remix, some of the effects that were on it on some songs were kind of back or taken off. Excuse me. But overall, I think he did a good job on this. I don't think it's better. I think it's different. I like it a lot. I like the nuances that came out of it. I feel like the drums are more separated. I just don't feel like it's as chaotic, which I like that part. But you know, that edge kind of had a... It's kind of what you expected from the album. It's kind of like you listen to it without it and you're like, oh, maybe that was the charm of the album. A little bit of chaos because it had that fusion feel to it. A little bit of that edge to it. Perhaps that was the charm of the album. But I do like this version. I like the drums in it. I feel like, just like the other one, that stuff's more separated in this. Once again, with the Steven Wilson, the volume is low on the record, so you can really crank it. And it's very quiet though when you crank it. The backgrounds on these Steve Wilsons are quiet. But I really like it. I really appreciate what he did with it, but I like the other one better. Not better, but I like it also. Sometimes I like this better, sometimes I like it, because I kind of missed that chaotic edge to it. I kind of felt that was the charm of Relayer. But I enjoy this too. New, a little bit different album cover art they did there. They did a little bit different with the colors here, just a tad. This comes from the Steven Wilson Remixes, which he did a bunch of different albums. Did the Yes album, Tales of Topographic Oceans, Close to the Edge, and Fragile. So it's very interesting. You should give these a listen to. I don't know what they cost now. I got mine for about 80 bucks a while ago. Maybe a little less. It was on sale, I think. But yeah, so that's the two albums by Steven Wilson. What I think about them, write in the comments what you think about them. And